Welcome to chapter 36 of Testimonials of an Anglo-Saxon pasty-faced mammal who possesses numerous testicles. How are we all going? That is the official name of the podcast from now on. Memoirs of a White Guy is a thing of the past. No, it's not, because I'm going to eventually run out of ways to say that shit. But thank you. I forget who sent that one in. Here's the thing. People send in their ways to say the start of the podcast, but some of them are shit and some I've already done before. So I just mix and match and then just combine them all. Like someone sent in testimonials and then the rest was shit. And then someone sent in Anglo-Saxon and the rest was shit. So I just have to kind of merge them all together. But thank you all very much for your correspondence during the week. It helps me out greatly with the podcast and it means I have to think less. So I don't have to sit there Googling synonyms for white guy like a privileged asshole. I just get sent in synonyms for white guy like an even more privileged asshole. That is proper white guy behavior, isn't it? Just getting other people to do just not even hard shit, just shit you don't want to do for you. That is capitalism right there. Even though I'm not paying you to do it and I'm also not being paid. So that's actually communism. Anyway, so what's been happening this week? I hope you guys have had a good week. I've had a pretty good one. I've kind of been off the face of the planet recently on social media. That's just because I've been just getting everything ready. I'm really trying to plan out YouTube content instead of putting out one video and then waiting another 3 weeks to put out another one. I'm going to try and start doing weekly shit. It's just it's not even the time, actually. It's not struggling with time. It's like I don't have time to do weekly videos. It's like I need to be like home alone to do some videos just because like I feel horrible. Like we don't have a very big house and you know, like I film in the TV room, like in the lounge room, and there's always people watching TV in that room and then like at night and stuff. So I can't really film at night. Also, the lighting's only good in my lounge room for about like 6 to 8 hours of the day, and usually if someone's home, like my mum doesn't work every day of the week, so I'll be like trying to film and she'll be being noisy in the kitchen. So it's just I'm struggling to find. I need to start planning a time every single week where I can film, and Mondays is like one of the days where I'm definitely can do work by myself at home during the day. Other than that, it's hard. I need to like go places to film shit, and I don't have anyone to film sketches for me. It's a whole thing. Anyway, I'm trying to get it all organized so I can get like one sketch out a week or one video out a week from now on for the rest of the year. So that's why I've been off the face of the planet. Sorry, I just clapped next to the microphone. That wasn't cool. I was just briefly excited about future content. So yeah, what's happened this week? Everyone's this is the thing. Okay, I got a few good stories this week. What should I start off with? Okay, so I was catching the train. Let's say this happened last week, but I just didn't get time to put in the podcast, but I really wanted to talk about it. So, I was catching the train. I would have been home from the city. I think it was nighttime, and I was sitting on the seat by myself in like a little booth of 4. In Melbourne trains, you have the like little booths of 4 seats, 2 seats each way facing each other. And I was sitting in a group of 4 seats just by myself. So there were 3 seats empty. And this dude comes on the train. There's heaps of other spots to sit, by the way. This is not the story, but I hate it when people do this. There's like like not 1,000 obviously, but there's like the whole carriage is pretty much empty. And he looks around and I'm like, oh, he's going to pick his seat at the other end like a normal human and stay at least 20 meters away from other human contact. Because that is just what we do, all right? As humans, I don't know, as a society, it's just like an unwritten rule. Do not sit near me if there's other room on a train. Sit 10 meters away from me. That doesn't bother me. Sit 5 meters away from me. But of course, he came and chose the seat directly opposite me. Just like our knees were touching and there was no one else on the carriage. So already I was fucking fuming. I was just like, mate, I've got a 40-minute train trip ahead of me. Okay, and our knees are going to be bumping for the next 30, depending on where you get off. And he got off near the stop near me, so it was pretty much 40 minutes of just, there was no one else on the train for the entire time, but it was too awkward to get up and leave. This isn't even my beef with the guy. This is me just raging. Anyway, so He sat down right opposite me, and I was kind of looking out the window, and I didn't even realize the thing that I'm going to say about him for like 2 minutes. I was just staring out the window, and then Emily called me, right? Emily's been on the podcast, my girlfriend. She called me, and I was chatting to her on the phone, and I looked over and made eye contact with this guy for the first time who was sitting opposite me, and I saw his face and laughed. And I had to pretend like I was laughing at something that the other person on the other end of the phone had said. And Emily was like, "What are you laughing at?" I didn't say anything. Like, she was just telling me about a day or something. Like, we weren't talking about anything funny. And I just burst out laughing. I'm so glad I was on the phone, or else I would have had to pretend I was listening to something funny. Or I'm like, "Oh, sorry, I'm just listening to this podcast, Memoirs of a White Guy." So funny. I'm sure you guys have to deal with that all the time, constantly laughing out loud at this podcast. Anyway, so I started laughing at this guy's face, and I'll tell you why. Okay, it's not as mean as you think. All right, this guy had it coming, and here's the thing: I had to explain to Emily what I was laughing at without actually saying what I was laughing at, because he was right opposite me. He wasn't wearing headphones or anything. I couldn't be like, "Oh my god, the guy opposite me has a fucked face, and here's what's fucked about it," and he would like punch me in the face. So I had to be like, "Oh, nothing. It's just a thing that's happening." And I had to pretend like I wasn't even referencing him in front of me, because he could hear our whole conversation. Man, maybe he could hear her on the other end. Anyway, so I got to tell you about his face. So I looked at his beard, and at first I was like, "What's up with this guy's beard?" And then I realized what he'd done, and I just lost my shit laughing. He had drawn like a beard on his face with texture. Like with like a Sharpie, like permanent marker, had drawn hundreds of little like beard specks just all over his face. And then the reason, because I looked at him, I'm like, that's not a real beard. He's got a drawn on beard. And then to top it all off, and this is when I started laughing, he'd obviously like gotten it wet, or got his hand wet and touched his cheek, and it was smudged. Like, he smudged his fake texture beard, but he didn't realize that his fake texture beard was smudged. So he was walking around going, "Fuck, everyone's probably looking at my sick beard. They don't even know it's fake." And like, dude, your chin is smudged. Oh man, I lost my shit. And it's not like he was probably like, you know, in his 20s, like probably 20. He was older than me, like old enough to know better. He didn't look like he had a mental disability or whatever. You could just tell he wanted to fit in and have a fucking beard, but he couldn't grow one. So he's like, instead of, I don't know, taking hormone tablets or just not growing a beard, because who gives a shit if you have a beard or not, he's like, I've got this. He went to Office Works, bought a Sharpie for $3 and drew himself a beard. I bet you he does it every morning, like after his shower. Like, he has to set his alarm 10 minutes earlier because he's like, "Oh well, don't want to go late for work, but I do have to draw my beard." Oh man, and it was quite well done. Like, I had to kind of second look at it. I mean, once you realized it was texture on his face and not hair, it was blatantly obvious because it was 2D. Like, a beard, you can see like the hair follicles, and you can just tell if it's a beard. It was a 2D black marks, like, and he had it up around his mustache. He'd drawn it around his chin, so it was kind of like beard going up to his sideburns all around, and the mustache made it incredibly obvious because he'd sweated a bit on his top upper lip, and that was quite smudged as well. And whether or not he knew it was smudged, I don't know. He wasn't hiding it. Like, dude, just go to the toilet and wash your fucking face before you get on the train, or else you're gonna get people like me who are A, assholes, but B, have a great sense of humor and laugh at fake drawn on beards. Like, dude, seriously, just dress up as Santa and put on a Santa beard or some shit. That is more believable than what he had going. Anyway, so I was talking to Emily, right? I had to explain to her because I'm like, I've got to tell her this, and I want to tell her immediately because this is one of the best things to happen to me all week. Fake beard guy doesn't realize his beard smudged. A+ content for the podcast and this phone call that we're having. So she's like, "What's happening?" So we kind of made it into a guessing game where I couldn't say anything. I could kind of just answer yes or no to questions. So she was like, "What are you laughing at?" I'm like, "Oh, it's hard to say." And she was like, and she kind of realized what I was doing. And to her credit, she was like, "Oh, is it something in front of you that you can't tell me about?" And I was like, "Yes." And she's like, "Okay, let's guess." And then the next 5 minutes, we played the best guessing game of all time. I couldn't really say anything. She was like, "Okay, is it like, is someone wearing something funny?" And I was like, "Kinda." And then this guy's sitting there, and he's just looking out the window. He had no idea what we were talking about. I really hope. Imagine if I'd have had my phone on speaker, or even like he could faintly hear her just guessing things as to what I was laughing at. And then she was like, okay, is he's, and she went through, asked a series of questions, and we eventually narrowed it down to, she's like, is there something wrong with his face? And I was like, yes, you're right. And then she was like, okay, is it his nose? And I was like, no. And she's like, is it his chin? And I was like, oh, yeah, kinda. She's like, oh, what could be wrong with his chin? Does he have like a blue goatee? And she was guessing like actual beard shit. And then she finally narrowed it down to beard. She's like, is there something wrong with his beard? This is like 5 minutes later of her guessing random shit. And I was like, yes, you're on it. And I still couldn't say beard or anything to do with it because the guy was just staring right at me while I was having this conversation. Here's what you do though, if you're in that situation. You pretend like you're not you pretend like you're talking about something so irrelevant, and you speak confidently. Like if I was like, yeah, it is his beard. Like if I was talking quietly, it'd be really sus, but I was like, yep, yeah, you're right, that's bang on. I was just speaking to her like I was talking about the footy scores or something, and then she was like, all right, has he got a colourful beard like in the Hunger Games? I was like, no. He's got a weird pattern in his beard. I'm like, no. And she couldn't guess it. She almost gave up, and I was like, okay, and I just said the word fake, and the guy looked at me. I was like, fake, and then she goes, fake beard, and then I'm like, yep. And the guy looked at me though when I said fake, and he touched his chin, like where it was smudged, and then he didn't want to bring attention to it that he was testing to see if it was smudged or not. But I saw him touch his beard, look at his finger, and then see black texture on his finger when he pulled his hand away from his chin. And then he looked out the window, and I was like, fuck, he knows I'm talking. He knows I'm talking about his fake beard. And then I kind of was like, look, I've got to go. And I just kind of like, she's like, fake beard. And she goes, is it like drawn on? And I was like, yeah. And she got it eventually. Well done, Emily. That was bang on. I mean, she got it. It took her a while, but she got it eventually. But all I could think about though was this guy's thought process, like leading up to this decision to draw on a texture beard every single day. And like, he's obviously insecure about his masculinity and stuff, but like, how did he get to, yep, texture beard, that'll fix my insecurities? I would feel so insecure all day. I'd feel paranoid if I had a texture drawn on beard every single day. Like, it wasn't even like, you can get those kind of fake, like, people can, like, professionals can draw on hair and stuff, like hair replacement things that can make you look like you have hair if you're kind of bald, if you're balding. He just gotten a Sharpie, like it was smudged on his face, like heavily smudged. There were areas where there was no beard anymore because it was raining that day and he'd obviously gotten water on it. Like, it wasn't even waterproof permanent marker, man. You just got a Sharpie and then drew it on your face. I would feel so paranoid all day walking around going, fuck, is my texture smudged? Do people know my beard's fake? Yes, of course they know it's fake. You bought a Sharpie. Oh man, I feel bad for laughing at him because I'm sure to get to that point of, drawing a fake beard on with texture, you must have copped shit about not having a beard. It's not even lame to not have a beard though. It's almost like it's almost more professional to not have a beard because it's so stupid. What else did I want to talk about? That was pretty funny. I was doing a gig on Monday, and there was an 86-year-old in the audience. It was probably the oldest person who I've ever performed to, and she was in the very front row. It was a family who had come over from New Zealand or something, was staying in. They came over, a whole family trip. They had like 3 generations of their family. 4 actually. They had like a little baby there. So it was like a baby, and then it was like a couple of 20-year-olds, and obviously one of the 20-year-olds had that baby, and then they had the 20-year-old's parents there, so they were middle-aged, but they were quite older. They were like 50 to 60 years old, and then they had 2 grandparents there, and the grandma was 86 years old. And I was performing, and I'm like, I'm not going to change my set or whatever. I was just doing my regular jokes. And if you saw me at the comedy festival, you'd know that pensioners probably wouldn't really like my shit that much. But the parent was like, no, sorry, the grandpa was loving it. Like the older, he was about 80 or so, I reckon. And he was loving it. He was having a good old laugh at some of my gags. But I noticed that his partner, the grandma, wasn't laughing. So I started talking to her. I was like, hi, what's your name? And she didn't answer. And I was like, oh, so what? I was talking to you. What was your name? I don't want to say like the older person or whatever. And then the grandpa goes, oh, sorry. She's actually having a bit of a nap right now. So maybe just talk. And I was like, what the fuck? She literally fell asleep during my set. She was awake at the start. I saw her awake. She nodded off and started having a snooze halfway during my set. Like I was... I did the next 5 minutes on her having a nap. It was great. And she eventually woke up as I was talking about her, because everyone started laughing, and then the laughter like woke her up. She went, and so I thought she almost gave her a heart attack. So she was fine though, and I thanked her for coming. It was very nice. I should have recorded that gig. It was the only gig this week I didn't record. Anyway, so that was pretty funny. First person I've ever had fall asleep during my set, but I'll allow it because she was 86 years old and it was like 10:30 p.m. on a Monday. So that's fine. I'll allow that. And then what else happened this week? Oh, I did this week. It was pretty cool. I did my first ever spot at the Comics Lounge, which was great fun. If you don't know what the Comics Lounge is, it's the biggest comedy club in, I was going to say Melbourne, but I think it's the biggest comedy club in Australia by far because it's bigger than the Comedy Store in Sydney. So yeah, so that was really cool performing at kind of, it's a very prestigious comedy club. It's pretty hard to get spots there. So and I'm also performing there again tonight because I smashed it. So yeah, so that's great. It's really cool. I feel like all the hard work is now starting to pay off with this tour, and all the people coming to the shows, getting spots at like, you know, professional comedy clubs with other professional comedians. And I feel like, you know, 2 years of slogging away at shitty open mics and, you know what I mean, like doing videos and working my dick off is I feel like it's all coming together now. There's a lot of work to go yet, but I feel like I'm finally starting to see some reward from all the hard work. So that's really all I wanted to say. Didn't want to shit on about it too much. It's just very cool. So yeah, I'll be performing there tonight. Yes, that's cool. I've got 2 gigs tonight actually. Probably should finish this freaking podcast because I got to film as well. Nah, don't worry. I got heaps more shit I want to talk about. Me ranting about my white boy problems takes priority over everything else in my life. So alright. Oh shit. We forgot the fun fact. It's supposed to be near the start of the podcast, and I always end up doing it halfway through because I start talking about my shitty first world problems and having to endure touching knees with a stranger on the train and the suffering that kind of the mental struggle that puts you through for 40 minutes. And not to mention the extra mental hurdle and struggle of having to not laugh for 40 minutes at some guy's smudged face, okay? So I had a very hard and strenuous week, so that's why I forgot about the fun fact. Anyway, let's do it. So thank you all very much for sending in your fun facts again during the week. I'll need some more for next week. So if you hear a fun fact, even if you want to search one up to you. If you want to contribute to the podcast, my email is always open. Well, I mean, it doesn't close. It's an email. So luke.kidgell@gmail.com, or send it to me on my Facebook page. It was great. It was so funny. We're receiving all your videos of you guys honking your own fun fact horns during the week. So if you didn't hear last week's podcast, or if you've never heard this segment before, you're in for an absolute treat. firstly. But we after I read the fun fact, which is always a barrel of laughs, I just go, sound the fun fact horn, and then it goes bah, 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 and I imagine people start letting off fireworks and stuff. I can't see because I used to do this in my bedroom, but that's just what I assume what happens every week. And it's kind of a way for us all to celebrate, but then know it's the end of fun and get back to business kind of thing with the second half of the podcast. But yes, so that's what the fun fact horn usually is. But last week it was a special edition of the fun fact segment because it was BYO Horn Week. So people paused the podcast, went and found themselves a horn to kind of honk when I said the fun fact. And you guys sent me videos of you honking your horns all around the country and the world, and it was great to see. I'll put in one of my favorites because here's the thing, most of them were sent on Snapchat to me, so they just last for 10 seconds and people didn't save the video. But I have one. You'll hear, this is really, it made me laugh, but it almost made me shed a tear, the fact that so many people are having fun with these facts. Like, this segment was just a small dream of mine at the start. It was more just an afterthought. I was like, I could read a really fun fact and it might put a spring in someone's step. But the fact that people are coming together and sounding their horns in unison to celebrate fucking horrible facts, it makes me happy, it brings a tear to my eye. It just makes me proud, to be the host of this podcast and host of such a community of hardcore fun fact lovers. So this one was sent in by William. William went to his garage and sounded the horn on his bicycle. So this is what you're about to hear. Thank you very much for the correspondence, and it's great to kind of interact with you fun fact fans out there. So this is William's BYO fun fact horn from last week. If you're a man and you pee on a pregnancy test and it's positive, you probably have cancer. Oh man, thanks for that, William. That made me laugh a lot. Yeah, and all your ones were great. There was lots of car horns going around, people listening in their cars. Some dude was at a traffic light, filming himself, did the fun fact horn, then filmed the person next to him just staring at him like, why the fuck are you honking right now? We're sitting in traffic. It was great. So this week I thought, let's do one more. Let's do one more BYO Horn Week. Everyone, pause the podcast now. Get your horns. Send me the videos. And you know what? I'll put the best ones in the podcast next week. Your best horn noises. Just get the most unique horn you can find. And yeah, get horny for fun facts. And now, without further ado, let's just get into the actual segment. I hope you've got your horn ready. If you haven't, definitely pause the podcast now. Go get your horn because we're about to get into it. Alright, let's start off with the honourable mentions, because I get sent in so many fun facts now that we have to, we have to do an honourable mention category where they're quite fun facts, but they're not they're not the right level that they need to be to sound the horn and stuff. So this one, some of them, I'm gonna be sorry guys, you send them to me on Snapchat a lot, so I don't remember, like I screenshot them, but I don't remember who actually sent in the fact. So anyway, this is from someone. Salt water takes 10 minutes to drown you. Now that's a pretty fun fact. I mean, it would be funner if it was maybe a slower death, like 20 minutes or even 40. But either way, still a pretty fun fact. I think we'd all agree. But do not sound your fun fact on yet. Don't do a premature honk, okay? It's not worth it. But at the same time, there's also nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, 1 in 3 people suffer from premature honkulation. So don't, just go see a medical professional. It's pretty easy to get help there. There's pills and shit you can take for it. There's a little device you can put in your hand that it's like a hand grasp, and it stops you from honking everything. It stops you from honking car horns, like just little horns, air horns, and tits as well. It stops you from honking boobs. So just if you suffer from premature honkulation, just go see a doctor. All right, the second honorable mention. This one, I don't know. This one doesn't really bother me that much. A jar of peanut butter could contain up to 5 rodent hairs. That just doesn't bother me as much as it should. I mean, I eat peanut butter all the time, and I'm just like, 5 rodent hairs. I'm still alive, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's a bit gross, but it's not really that fun, is it? So I probably shouldn't have even put that in the honorable mention, but thanks for sending it in, whoever did. Now, this one is where we get really warmed up for the real fun fact. It's the last honorable mention, and it's kind of in the same theme, in the same category as the fun fact. So it's almost like a prequel to the fun fact, if you will. So all right, here it is. This is not the fun fact. We're just getting ready. All right. This is a good one. Cockroaches live 9 days without their heads. So 9 days. That's quite... what a week and a bit that would be. Just, you could make, like, funny jokes to all your cockroach friends. Like, hey, Dave, I'm just gonna be heading this way. And then Dave's like, I'll see you there. No, I won't. I don't have a head, but I'm still alive because I'm a cockroach and I've got 8 days to go. Fuck yeah. That's pretty sick. Cats have 9 lives, but cockroaches have 9 days without heads. They'd just be running into shit all day. Like, they'd just be like, their little bodies running around like, bang, fuck, it's a wall, I can't see. Bang, bang. Just constantly. I'm only laughing because I hate cockroaches. They're filthy fucking creatures, aren't they? And I think they're gross with a head. Imagine how gross they are without a head. Like, I think everything's grosser without a head. Like, have you seen that video of the chicken that survived without having a head? And they force-fed it down its throat. So it had a neck, but it was cut off at the neck. And they just fed it like chicken feed down its throat. And it lived for, like, ages or something. I'm going to Google it. Chicken without head. It was like a thing. And then, like, there's the chicken that lived for 18 months without a head. Google it. And you can see it. It just doesn't have a head. It's a chicken body running round. It makes Chicken Run more depressing, but it also like makes it like unrealistic because that chicken gets beheaded at the start of Chicken Run and it dies. And I'm like, well, you could have had 18 months to live. So anyway, its head's on the ground next to it. That is almost fun enough to be the actual fun fact. All right, let's do the actual one now. We've had enough build up. I'm sure you've all got your fun fact horns ready to go. Let's just do it. All right, this one, it's also in the same category of decapitation, like the last cockroach fact. So let's just do it. The human head remains conscious after decapitation. The victim can feel their head hit the ground after it's being guillotined. So that's a pretty fun fact. Sound your fun fact horns! I think I could just hear some. Like, that's the energy. I just felt it. I heard them from the future when I upload this podcast. Man, I'm sure you all just honked your horn, honked whatever. Did you honk your car? What did you honk? Send me in what you honked. Send me your honking. You honk your best friend's tit. That's great. Honked your bike. Honked your car. Do whatever you want. So that was the fun fact this week. And that was quite a fun fact if I do say so myself. One of our better ones. And it's true. I actually did a bit of research about the human head remains conscious. And I did know this fact post Game of Thrones one season. Everyone will know the incident I'm talking about, any Game of Thrones fan. But I did do some research on decapitation. And in 1905, this is true, an experiment was conducted on a criminal who was executed by beheading. Up to 30 seconds after the man was supposedly dead, his eyes would open and focus on people calling his name. That is crazy. So when your head gets chopped off, you can feel it hit the basket, and you can look at your body like removed from... You can look at your body removed from your head and be like, shit, I'm gonna die. But you're like already kind of dead, but you're conscious. How strange is that? That's very fun. This podcast has got incredibly dark. Let's lighten it up again, all right? Well, that's what we just did, actually, with the fun fact. So, what else I want to talk about? Oh, yeah, this is the last thing before we get into questions. A few people during the week, and people who listen to this podcast, some people who just follow my videos, I always get sent a very similar request, even from people who dislike my podcast and dislike my videos. People are always telling me to check my privilege, Luke. Oh, Luke, check your privilege, Luke. Check your privilege. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this phrase, check your privilege, it essentially just means like you need to be, people remind you to be aware of the life that you're born into and kind of the specific, especially white male privileges that are, come with being a straight white male, and more just acknowledge them, acknowledge your own privileges so then you can put them aside in order to gain a better understanding of someone else's situation who perhaps might not be as privileged as you. So that's essentially what they're saying. They're pretty much calling me an asshole, which is fucking bang on. So well done to everyone who's been saying that. But I thought, everyone's like, check your privilege, Luke, just check your privilege. You're like, righto, I will. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm actually just gonna check my privilege right now. I went to ancestry.com and signed up for a free trial. And boy am I privileged. Let's go through the Kidgell family history and really just check how privileged I am. I might have come from a background of poor peasant farmers. We don't know. I didn't. Okay, I didn't. I came from the House of Hampshire, apparently. Charles Kidgell and Audrey Kidgell is what I found. There was also a Winston Kidgell. So, but they could have been all conservative Muslims. Or they could have been perhaps Indian. Winston Kidgell, that's a pretty Indian name. And same with Audrey. Audrey Kidgell, I reckon that's Malaysian. So, all these people, oh, Luke, just, memoirs of a white guy. I don't know, man. Like, some people don't know how they feel about the name of the podcast, which is fine. I admit it is a podcast title that is highlighting my privilege, but now I'm checking it. We're coming back down to earth from my straight white male high horse, and I'm coming back to you guys, or unless you guys are, some of you are obviously straight white males as well. But, I'm coming back down and we're checking my privilege. And, look, really checking my privilege has just made me feel like more of an asshole because, everyone from my family history and my ancestry comes from very wealthy background. I think I'm the poorest Kidgell ever. Like, let's go down. All right, there was a Winston, Audrey Kidgell, Charles Kidgell, and then there's a few other variations of the surname. But then, there's one that was, this is only recently, and those are from like the 1800s. And this is there's another L. Kidgell who lived in Wangaratta in 1908. And he was involved in some sort of pharmaceutical company. So he was probably a drug lord. The fact that there's records of it though means he was probably an on the books drug lord. But either way, pretty privileged bloke. Now shit you not, this Mr. L. Kidgell guy, there's not much about him, but one of the articles, it was a newspaper article written about his pharmaceutical brand and his involvement in the chemical industry or something like that. Yeah, definitely a drug dealer. But yeah, I think his name was Leroy. But there was one birth certificate of a Leroy Kidgell, but in these articles, they only refer to him as Mr. L. Kidgell. So I'm assuming it's the same one. But anyway, it says, I shit you not, you guys are going to laugh at this, and old podcast fans will get around this one. It's one caption in a newspaper in 1908 says, pictured Mr. L. Kidgell riding a Peugeot. But it doesn't say Peugeot, it says fucking Peugeot. Okay, so Mr. L. Kidgell riding a Peugeot. I didn't even know they had Peugeots that old, but I shit you not, it says that. Peugeot. So yeah, he couldn't probably pronounce it either. I bet you he was like, oh, love, I got a new Peugeot. Drive it round and sell drugs in it. So yeah, for all the people asking me to check my privilege, there, I did. And I'm very privileged. So, yeah. And then pretty much everyone, my family's been in Victoria for like 150 years. Like, we're like whenever it says, like, someone's like, what nationalities are you? I am literally just like, I'm Australian. Like, obviously, it originated in the UK, obviously, the name Kidgell, but like with Winston and Audrey and Charles from the House of Hampshire, but then someone probably stole a piece of bread, and then Leroy bought a Peugeot, so to sell his drugs in. So that's my family history, guys, and pretty privileged background. It probably did start off with a jail sentence, but after that, I think us Kidgells got back on our feet, and yeah, I'm definitely the most disappointing Kidgell yet. You'd have to say it without a doubt, wouldn't you? I mean, I'm no Winston, am I? So I'm just got a shitty podcast called Memoirs of a White Guy. I'm sure they'd all the Kidgells would approve of that. My whole ancestry will be like, oh, he's putting the Kidgell name in a good light. Top 100 on the iTunes chart, flaunting his white supremacy. Love it. But I didn't want to stop there, guys, right? So I checked my privilege, right? But then I also found checkyourprivilege.com. So, and it's a survey, and I haven't done the survey yet, so I thought I would do the survey live on the podcast. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I've got it ready now. So you can check your privilege as well. So if someone says, hey mate, check your privilege, link him, checkmyprivilege.com, and link him your answer. So let's do it, shall we? Let's check my privilege once and for all on checkmyprivilege.com. So for all those people during the week, oh Luke, check your privilege, mate. All right, just come down from your high horse. Let's do it. Religion is the first one. Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, other. I'm non-religious, so I'm gonna click non-religious. Kinship. Am I a human, a mammalkin, a dragonkin, or a reptilican? Oh, I would say I'm a human, but I wish I was a dragon. That's probably more privilege than human. This is a legit test, by the way. Some people actually identify as a dragon. So all right, tall. It's next one is size. Short, normal, or tall. I'd say I'm 6 foot, so that means I'm pretty tall. Does that mean I'm privileged? I don't know. Disability. Deaf, blind, immobile, social autism. Most people who listen to this podcast should click social autism. I want to talk about that next, by the way. Anyway, so able-bodied. I'm able-bodied. That's a very privileged answer. Shit. Orientation. Asexual, gay, straight, or bisexual. I am straight. That's annoying. Man, I'm going to be so privileged. Country, Australia. God, this is going to be the most... profession. What profession am I? It doesn't say full-time dickhead. So I'm going to say none. None or other. Gender. I am cisgender. Gender because I'm male. Race. I am white. Oh, that's the worst one. Black, Asian, other, or Latino. I can't even click Latino. Man, this is going to just come at the end that says, you're an asshole. Go help someone in need. That's what it's going to say. Status based on your family. Am I rich, middle class, or poor? I would say, or affluent, or I don't know. I would say middle class. But I guess middle class is, I don't know. I'm going to say middle class. Sex, I'm male. That's not good for this test. Attractiveness. You have to judge your own attractiveness. Attractive face, 9 out of 10. Ugly face, overweight, disfigured. I'm going to say attractive face and 9 out of 10 because I'm a fucking jet. Your privilege is level shit lord. Oh man, that is so spot on. Does that mean I win privilege? Did I just win that test? I'm a shitlord privilege with a score of 185. Wow. I don't know, that kind of makes me feel oppressed, that being a shitlord. Nah, it doesn't. Makes me feel like a fucking king. I'm gonna leave the house and, everyone's gonna want to hear what I have to say. It's gonna be great. I'm a fucking shitlord. That's so funny. So everyone, you can go check your privilege on checkyourprivilege.com. This isn't like a sponsored thing. I just think that's hilarious that there is a website called Check My Privilege. Alright. What do I want to talk about next? Oh yeah, this is what I want to talk about. I mentioned it in that. This fidget spinner thing, right? So if you don't know what a fidget spinner is that it's this new craze that's kind of swept primary schools everywhere. And I know about this because my dad's a primary school teacher. And our next door neighbor, who's a little kid, bought one of these new fidget spinner things round to our house. And I saw it and I used it. And if you don't know what it is, it's a little spinny thing. You hold it in the middle and it just spins like a pendulum around. Not like a pendulum. It spins in a just literally just like a spinning top, but you hold it. Anyway, you might have seen it. Just Google fidget spinner. It spins around. That's all it does. And it's a craze. It's like a shittier version of a Beyblade, but it's not a spinning top, so it makes it shit. And you also can't rip it. Like Beyblades was a craze because you could battle them and you could collect the whole set. And I got that one. This one, I don't understand it. I never understand. I feel like it kind of made me feel old. I just looked at this kid's toy. He brought it over and he was obsessed with it. He's like, dude, look at this thing on. He was timing how long he could spin it for. And he was just wrapped with it. He couldn't be happier with this toy. And it cost like $8. And it was like the joy of his life. And it was just like, I mean, it's great for parents, but they're already being banned in schools. That's when you know a trend has done well. As soon as it gets banned in schools, it's done. Like, and it's hit the top. Like, footy cards got banned at our schools. Pretty sure Beyblades did. What else was a trend? Like, whenever something gets remotely popular, kids start bringing them out either in the classroom. That's how they get banned, or they get banned because kids start like buying them and doing like a black market fidget spinner thing. Like, there's two reasons why thing gets banned. But if something's that popular that kids start selling them for profit, that's when you know you've made a good craze. But here's what happened, right? So if you don't know what a fidget spinner is, they're actually they were originally designed for kids with autism. Just something to fidget with, something to spin and stuff like that. And then pretty much an entire generation now uses them. And like, apparently stores have sold out worldwide of these things. Like, and get this, the lady who made the fidget spinner, who thought of the design, had kids with autism, made it for her kid, but she was so broke that she couldn't renew the patent, the copyright patent on her idea, because she didn't have $400 or something at the time. And then someone else got the patent for it, copyrighted it, like did it themselves, stole her idea, and then now it's like one of the most popular kids' toys in the world at the moment. And this poor lady got fucking like Jackson O'Doherty'd. She got absolutely fucking robbed, and like, that sucks for her. That sucks so bad. That sucks so bad. But yeah, she didn't renew the patent, and I guess that's the law. So yeah, but how crazy is that? That she could have made millions from this thing designed for kids with autism. And I think this just shows that this entire generation of primary school kids is fucking autistic. Like, how do you get obsessed with something that just spins in a circle? It doesn't do anything else. I tried it. Like, kids are spinning it on their noses, and like, they look like, when you see kids playing with these fidget spinner things, they look autistic. I'm like, what are you? It's like, how is a whole generation captivated by a spinning object? That blows my fucking mind. Anyway, those are my thoughts on fidget spinners. I just was absolutely gutted for the woman who came up with the idea and then got absolutely robbed. Alright, let's do questions now, guys. It's almost the end of the podcast. I've got a few this week, so let's just get through them. This first one is from Jed. Hey mate, it's Jed from the caravan park. Oh, I know Jed. Okay. Oh, Jed. Yes, Jed. Okay. I grew up with you and you taught me my first trick on the trampolines. You and Jack, that's my older brother, were like my big brothers. I know Jed. Man, I haven't seen Jed for a couple of years. All right, so we used to kind of go regularly up to a caravan park, for holidays and stuff. And Jed also used to grow up regularly, and now he listens to the podcast. From memory, though, Jed is way too young to be listening to this podcast. Like, can we find out who's the youngest person who listens to this podcast? If you're like below the age of 12 or 13, can you message me? And I just want to see, like you won't get bagged or anything. I just want to see who the youngest person is who listens to this podcast like regularly, on a regular basis. So send in if you think you're like below 12. I can't imagine there be anyone below 12. Maybe Jed is. Anyway, so Jed, I grew up with you and you taught me my first tricks on the trampoline. Don't want to brag, but that is true. Can trampoline. Although I once stuffed up a backflip and never backflipped again because I landed on my head. So my trampolining days are over. I can still front flip like a sick dog, but that's not really being a sick dog on a trampoline front flipping. So anyway, question for the podcast: where is your all-time favorite holiday site? Well, yeah, I've got to say where we used to go at the caravan park, which I don't know whether to say. Oh, people won't be at it. There's millions of caravan parks there. It was at a caravan park in Phillip Island, in Victoria, where we can go see the penguins. And yeah, I used to go up there every single summer. I went up there last summer, but only for like a day, just because it's hard to get up there now when you're doing shows and stuff. And this has kind of got in the way of all that. But yeah, I'd still go up there and surf, and we go like day trips and stuff. So yeah, like we still go up there and surf occasionally, but that's really all I do there now. Just go up there to surf. But yeah, I would say that's my favourite holiday spot. I just love going to beaches around Victoria. I got a mate has a beach house just past Geelong way. Go there a fair bit. I also like I don't know. Here's the thing. I think I used to like the Gold Coast, and then I like as a kid I was like the Gold Coast was cool, and then as you all know, if you heard the podcast, I went there recently for the first time in years, and just trash. Like I feel like a Gold Coast is ruined for me now that I've seen it at night and got flied into strip clubs while wearing trackies. Well, I didn't get flied in. People tried to fly me in. It's just disgusting. So probably not Gold Coast anymore. I would say, yeah, my all-time favorite holiday spot would have to be where me and you hanged, Jed. That's what I'd say. Where else? Maybe like Cairns is nice. Honestly, yeah, just beaches. I just like anywhere where there's a beach. Where I went to Vanuatu. That was, I mean, that's not like a holiday site, but that's probably the best place I've been. Like Champagne Bay. That's probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. But yeah, that's my answer, Jed. Phillip Island and Champagne Bay, two very different places. This one is from Jack. Hey Luke, keep up the great work with your podcast. Tales of a low melanin individual gives me my weekly cheeky white privilege. I hope you check that white privilege, Jack. Alright, I hope you check it now. Anyway, I'm having problems with this girl at my school, Hannah. Here we go. White boy problems. This is like... all you guys do, it seems to me, is get in trouble with the police, get in trouble with your teachers, and try and hit on other white girls. That's all like my listenership does. Anyway, he's having problems with this girl at his school called Hannah. She's year 13, 1 year above me. Is there a year 13? Oh, you're in from New Zealand. Do you guys not finish at year 12? That's retarded. We finished school in Australia at year 12. You have a year 13. I'd quit. I couldn't do another year. Anyway, she's 1 year above me, and I recently asked her to the school ball. Yeah, you did, Jack. She said yes, but has been giving me mixed signals since. Ooh, okay. When we text, she's super into me, but in real life, she seems the opposite. I'm not sure if she thinks we're dating or not, since I asked her on Friday and it's Sunday right now and haven't seen her at school. Dude, if she hasn't been at school, she might be sick. She might be like away or having family problems or on holiday, or it's a bit weird she hasn't told you if she, wait, why would she think you're dating? What, dude? Okay, you said I'm not sure if she thinks we're dating or not. Why would she think you're dating? You just asked her to the school ball. You asked her out on a date. That doesn't mean you're dating if you haven't gone on the date. I'm sure she wouldn't think you're dating, man. This leads me to my problem. I live in New Zealand and I'm going up to Auckland with a few people from a camp I went on, boys and girls. I'm hoping for some puss, but I don't want to slay if Hannah thinks we're dating. What should I do? Dude, I don't think Hannah thinks you're dating. If all you've done is ask her to a school ball and haven't spoken since, I don't know about you, but that's not fucking dating. That's not being like... At the start with Emily, I wasn't like, hey, Emily, want to come out with me to a cafe? Not speak for 5 days, and I'm like, oh, I'm in a pretty committed relationship here. I don't know. What do you mean? You asked her out on a date and you haven't spoken to her since. She does not think you're dating, and if she does... she's a psychopath, okay? If you had been speaking and you'd maybe kissed and, you kind of settled that you're exclusive, then you shouldn't get with girls at this thing. But, I don't know, maybe kind of, definitely, you're definitely not dating. That's full stop, you're not dating. She doesn't think that. But if you're worried about her getting annoyed about it, or if you do like this Hannah girl, but you clearly don't like her that much, if you're going to go get some puss on a camping trip in Auckland. But I would say let her know that you're going to Auckland and then see if she's a bit sus about it. See if she asks if there's girls going with you. And if she is, maybe ask her what she thinks you guys are. But I'm sure she won't think you're dating, man. I'm sure she just said yes to the school ball. She probably likes you a bit. And then she's probably like you. She's probably going to a camping trip in Christchurch, okay? And she's probably going to go get some sweet dick, and you're going to get some sweet puss. So you're not official. I would say, anyway, he said, anyway, keep up the good work. I hope to see you if you come to New Zealand. Thanks, Jack. Yeah, man, you're not dating at all. You've literally asked her to a school ball. She shouldn't think that. If she does, she's deluded. What you said, what should I do? Go to the camping trip and get some puss, man. If you're not, check with her. Actually, I'd say be a good bloke. Maybe try and talk with her, vibe it out, see if she thinks that, and I'm sure she won't, but if for some reason she does, don't get with other girls, man. That's rude. That'll break her heart. But, yeah, it sounds like you guys are pretty casual and that it's just the start. And the fact that she hasn't really spoken to you means that she probably doesn't even like you that much anyway. So just go get some puss on that camping trip, mate. Let me know how it goes. Actually, don't. I don't care. All right, this next one's from Lynn. Can you talk about Scotty Cam building a shelf again? That was like episode 10, or like that was in one of the first episodes. I remember I talked about Scotty Cam building a shelf. I forget why, but why do you want me to talk about that again? Like, I don't think anyone else wants to hear that again. It probably wasn't even that funny the first time. Lynn, she said, side note, I'm pretty sure I stumbled across your video on Facebook and the following kind of escalated from there. I managed to get tickets to your comedy show in Melbourne too. So I'm currently listening to your podcast from the beginning and I'm having a ball of a time. Keep up the good work. Lynn, my Melbourne show's finished. What are you talking about? She's lied. That's what she's done. She's trying to impress me. And she sent this on May 8th. My Melbourne show finished on like April 23rd. You have not got tickets to my show in Melbourne, or you're confused. Okay, you've got tickets to Sydney or something, and you didn't read it properly. There's not another Melbourne show on sale, Lynn, so you've just lied to me, and I'm not impressed. You can stop lying. Why do people feel the need to be like, I'm coming to your show when you're not? Don't tell me that you're coming and when you're not. Fucking idiot. But thank you for listening to my podcast. If you got confused, I'm sorry. Or maybe, actually, you know what? Maybe she came and watched a Melbourne show and she's just emailing me now. If you did come to a Melbourne show, thank you very much, Lynn. Hope you enjoyed it. All right, this next one, I think, is this the last question? This is the last question, and then I've got a couple more stories about the worst thing you've ever been caught for. Oh, this podcast's going too long. I'll do those next week. All right, I'm just going to answer this question, and then that'll be the end of the podcast. All right, it's from Liam, I think. Yeah, Liam. All right, let's do this. Another one from New Zealand. Man, I'm really you guys have all decided to email in on the same week. Hi, Luke. Love the podcast. Thank you, Liam. I'm a 17-year-old white male from Christchurch, New Zealand. Why does everyone feel the need to tell me that they're white? I care. You know this whole white guy thing is a joke, yeah? I don't give a fuck what race you are. Anyway, I'm a 17-year-old white male from Christchurch, New Zealand. I can't wait for you to get bigger and come and tour in New Zealand one day. Me too, man. Hopefully next year. Hopefully I'm big enough. If not, the year after. So recently, I've been feeling really good about life because I'm doing what I want to do and have just left high school roughly halfway through my last year of it and started a new full-time job to save up some money for travel at the end of the year. That's awesome, man. That's great you're doing what you want to be doing. I did a few days of training last week and everything was going well and I was feeling good about myself. I'm currently on my restricted license. What the fuck is a restricted license? Which I'm pretty sure is the same as your P plates in Australia. Should have just kept reading. So that means I can't drive with passengers or after 10 p.m. Wait, you can't drive with any passengers or after 10 p.m. In Australia, on your first year of your P plate, so the first year you get your license, you're only allowed to drive, the rule is you're only allowed to drive with one. Oh, this is in Victoria. I don't know what other states are, but Victoria, you're allowed to drive with one person between the age of 16 and 25 in your car. But if they're over 25, you can drive with as many people as you want. Then after 1 year on your green Ps, you're allowed to drive with whoever you want in your car at whatever time. And there's a curfew. You guys have a curfew for driving. What the that's retarded. Are you serious? He's obviously serious or he wouldn't send this in. 10 p.m. as well, not even midnight. You guys can't drive. What about if you're coming home from work? Oh, this is probably what his problem is. 10 p.m.? That's ridiculous, man. I drive home from gigs at like 2 a.m. all the time. I'd be screwed if I couldn't drive after 10 p.m. That is actually ridiculous. That's so stupid. Anyway, some countries have just dumb laws. Like, that's literally giving you no responsibility. Like, no... people suck. Anyway, so last Friday night, I was driving out with a friend in my car, and just after 10 p.m., a cop pulled us over. The cop was a lad, but the whole thing was going to take my car back to the station for the night, but he let us continue. Pretty sure my friend got a $100 fine and 35 demerit points, and I got a $200 fine and 70 demerits. Oh, dude, we must have a different demerit system, because here if you get like 4 demerit points, you're screwed. And you got 70, you must have a very different system to us. I'm absolutely fine with the fact I got a fine because I'm an idiot and I deserve to pay the price. But now every morning this week, I've been getting up early and checking the mailbox every half an hour, waiting for a letter from the police so I can get it before my mum does, trying to intercept it. Smart move. But there's a bigger problem. Since I work late, 10:45, after the allowed time for myself to be driving, my dad has been nagging me to apply for an exemption to my license so I can drive after work ends to get home. But tonight, when he picked me up from work, he told me that he had sorted it and done 95% of the paperwork for me earlier today. So now in about 1 week, I will get a letter in the post telling me that my exemption has been denied because I don't have a clean license anymore. I also lied to him about where I'd been the night I was pulled over, when I got back, and why I was home way too late. I know that my parents will absolutely kill me when they find out the incident, and also the fact that I lied to their faces about it, and probably take my car off me for several months. So no matter what now, I've betrayed their trust, and I have no idea if I should be upfront to them about it and tell them the truth, or keep it from them as long as possible. I know this probably does not sound that bad compared to the emails Lewis gets on his podcast from his fans about their best friend sleeping with their mums or anything. But let me know what you would do if you're in my situation. Oh no, dude, I still get fucked up emails all the time. But some people send Lewis and I the same emails, and I just let him do the fucked ones on his podcast. So, alright. Okay. I think you know what to do. You just said, I've betrayed their trust and my parents are going to kill me because I've lied to them. And then you're saying, what should I do? Should I tell them? You know you should. Of course you should tell them, man. Because that's one less month. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that, yes, you fucked up and yes, you have lied. But if they find out via the post that you screwed up or by a letter, they'll be way more mad at you than if you just tell them. Like, you should have just told them straight away. And they mightn't have even been that mad. They would have been like, look, you should have been home. You know the rule. You deserve the fine. Pay that yourself. And, you know what I mean? They mightn't have actually been that mad if you got the fine. You're probably just freaking out because it's your first experience with a cop or whatever and being fined and stuff. That's fair enough to freak out. But dude, lying is the worst thing you've done here, and then hiding it from them weeks after. You know you're going to get found out eventually because this thing's going to be denied. Your exemption's going to be denied. So I would say tell them as soon as possible, man. I hope you've already told them already because you sent this email to me like 5 days ago. I still think you should tell them. That would be my advice. I'm sorry that... Dude, that sucks, man. Your whole state, the laws suck. 10 p.m. That's not even late. Man, that's like breakfast for a comedian. Yeah, dude, I would tell them immediately. That would be my advice. I think you know what to do. You pretty much said it in your email. You guys are asked really obvious questions this week. But anyway. So, cool. That's the end of the podcast, guys. Hope you all enjoyed it this week. We've been going for an hour now, so that's definitely the end. The interstate shows are 3 weeks away, less than 3 weeks away. So go get on that. Sydney, there's like 10 tickets left. Just go get them. We'll sell it out. It's going to be great. So if you want tickets to Sydney and you've been putting it off, like literally your last chance. So go get it. Brisbane's filling up as well, and Perth. Adelaide, why do you hate me? Why does Adelaide hate me? It's going to be like a meme when I get there. Like the people who actually come. Like I think people, like I know lots of people who do shows in Adelaide. And apparently all Adelaide people are last minute because nothing ever sells out in Adelaide. But can you stop freaking me out, alright? It's not selling as well as the other shows and it's making me angry. Anyway, oh shit. Okay, I forgot to talk about this last week because I ran out of time. I always start shitting on about other stuff. This is important and it's something I've wanted to introduce into the podcast for a while. I want to start up some kind of group or some kind of like interactive thing where I can just engage with you guys who listen to the podcast because like now it's getting a bit hard on my page to reply to everyone's messages because I get so many messages a day on my Instagram, Snapchat and Facebook. I do my best and you'll notice that if you do message me, hopefully I've replied to you. I do try and reply to, most of the people asking questions and stuff like that about my content and about the shows. But it's getting quite hard, and I just want a place where like we can all just like get together and post shit memes about this podcast and stuff. Because often I have something like I want to post, like say I want to post the check my privilege link so you guys can all check your privilege. But it's too much of an in-joke to post on my Facebook page, and half the people, so many people won't get it. So, like, I just want, like, you guys... I'm thinking Facebook group on my page. You can start, like, a group, a side group from the Luke Kidgell Facebook page. I looked into how to doing it during the week. So, you guys could go join that, and I'll make it an open group. And we can all just, like, post shit about the podcast. And you can post your fat bird sightings. You can post your fun facts. Actually, no, don't post your fun facts, because then it won't be a surprise for the podcast. But you can post fat bird sightings. You guys can all post your videos of you getting horny for the fun facts, just honking your horns. I think it would be quite fun. And honestly, some of the memes and stuff that I've thought of and like wanted to post on my Instagram stuff, and I'm like, it's too much of an in-joke. I would love to just have a group full of all you guys, and you guys are like the real people who like my shit. You know what I mean? Like there's lots of people who just like the You Don't Owe Me videos or the Shit Never Saids and all those, Facebook kind of viral videos that I make. But I really appreciate the people who listen to this podcast every week. And this is probably my favorite content to make during the week. I love doing the podcast every Monday, and I really appreciate the people who send in questions. So getting the okay, before I make the group, I'll probably make it in the next couple of days, and I'll post about it on my Snapchat or Instagram story. So if you want the announcement for that, actually I might do one post about it on my page, and then I'll never post about it again. So yeah, I want to kind of let you guys decide what's best for you guys, like to get a general consensus. Is a Facebook group easier for you guys, or do you guys know any other platforms that we could have like a little group on that we could engage with each other? I just think Facebook group's the easiest because most of you guys like my page already on Facebook and have a Facebook account. So yeah, but let me know on Snapchat, let me know on Instagram, message my page, and I genuinely want you all to message me. Like if you've never messaged before and are a silent listener of this podcast, just send me a quick message on Snapchat, like Facebook, Instagram, whatever, when you see this, and just be like, yep, keen to join the Facebook group, or just give me another alternative or something like that. I'm just leaning towards Facebook at the moment because it's easier, and I feel like it's easier for you guys. You guys don't have to do anything, and you just join a group, and then you're in it, and we can all post shit memes about fat birds, and it's going to be a whole lot of fucking fun. So, I'll be in there every day, like, engaging with you guys and stuff, because it's gotten out of hand on my page now. I used to be able to, do shit memes with people over message, but I just get sent so much shit just from people around the world. Like, so I get sent messages in Italian, and like I just don't have time to put them into fucking Google Translate and stuff. And the other positive of doing a Facebook group would be I can filter. I as an admin of the group, I could approve what actually gets posted. So you guys joining the group won't get spammed by each other. Like, if someone posts something, I'll look at the post and then approve it before it gets posted in there. So I'll only make sure the hilarious shit, or the interesting shit about stuff I talk about on the podcast gets posted. I'll be posting the link to checkmyprivilege.com in there during the week. You can all comment below and see if you guys are level shitlord. Most of you probably will be. This is Memoirs of a White Guy. But anyway, let me know about that Facebook group, guys. I'd love to have a kind of a little group that we all kind of can go in during the week. I think that'll be quite fun. And yeah, that's the end. That's all I wanted to talk about. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good one, guys. I'll see you next week.